Good morning, everybody. My name is Steve Omick, and I'm the CEO of Riverside Research, and we're so proud to be the presenting sponsor here this year. We've had wonderful leadership along the way over the years in terms of people who have been the presenting sponsors before us and have done such a great job, and we learned from that. We hope that that we are doing as good a job as some of the companies that have done this before us. The innovation that you see throughout the building today, the different companies that are presenting demos and interactive displays, it's a tremendous amount of work, and Washington Exec has just done a fantastic job of putting this whole thing together. We couldn't be happier to be part of it. Riverside Research is a high-tech, non-for-profit. We do most of the work that we do in the defense and intelligence world, and we're really proud of the customers that we serve, and we're really proud of the technology that we develop. One of the things that is an advantage of being a non-for-profit in the STEM world is we have a lot of money that we can drive into internal development of technology, and we do that every day. That is done in a part of the organization called the Open Innovation Center. And in the multi-purpose room today, we have a mini OIC. And all the different demos and interactive exhibits that you see in there are all geared around contributing technologies that make space satellites possible, space communications, and we're really proud of that. So I hope you can go and have a look at that after this next presentation. What I'm doing today is introducing the Educator panel, and I'm going to introduce first Dr. Tinell Priddy. Dr. Priddy, if you could go ahead and come on up. She is principal of the Academies of Loudoun. Welcome. The other speaker that we have today is Bonitatibus. She is the principal of Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. Ann, if you would come up as well.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I'm going to ask one more time. Come on now. Good morning. Good morning. There we go. That's the kind of enthusiasm I like to see from all the STEMsters out there. So today we are talking about the power of curiosity and how that drives everything that we do. You'll also learn about TJ and what a curious place TJ is as well. So right now, I'd like you to just imagine something just for a moment. Go for a walk. You're out in a meadow, and all of a sudden you see an apple orchard. You decide to sit down. The sky is blue. There are clouds. You see the trees laden with juicy apples. And all of a sudden, an apple drops. I wonder what made that apple drop. Somebody, a scientist, wondered, I wonder what principal drew that apple to the ground. For any of our students out there, do you know who that would be and what the scientific concept is? I see a hand over here. Well, who is the scientist? All right, and what was the scientific principle? Gravity, you got it. Let's give him a hand. Very good. Now, for all of us adults out there still looking at our apple that's fallen on the ground, we all know that phrase, well, that apple didn't fall far from the tree. What science field would study that concept? And adults, you can answer it too. What science field would study that concept? Boy, that apple didn't fall far from the tree. Yes, sir. Heredity and genetics. Barbara McClintock was a famous female scientist known for her work in that area in botany. She had a PhD in that area. As a matter of fact, won the Nobel Prize for medicine. So wonderful people have been very, very curious, and their curiosity has advanced science. Now, I bet that there are some of you in here, some students who are really, really curious people. Raise your hand if you consider yourself to be a really curious student. Okay? I want, for those of you who have your hand raised, I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want you to come up front with me. You said you're curious, come up front. Oh, now we have even more curious people. All right, that's all the curious people I can take right now. All right, really fast, just tell us your name, your first name.
Samuel.
Samuel.
Sanjana. Avian. Ethan. Delia. Joe. Rosie. Pranaya. Caleb. Disha. Lily.
Okay, we might have some future Sir Isaac Newtons and Barbara McClintock's up here because you're curious. So, are you curious right now about why I asked you to come up here? Yeah. The fact that you're up here shows one great characteristic of curiosity. Those who are curious have courage. It takes a lot of courage to come up here right now, not knowing. Are you going to be able to maybe do something or answer a question that I ask you? Yes. So they're courageous and they have an open mind also. They're open to what's going to happen. Again, another trait of curiosity. So now I want you to look around this room for a second. Just look around, look up, down, look everywhere. Now, I want you to think about something that has you curious in this room. And if you were to finish the sentence, I'm curious about, or I'm wondering.
I'm curious, why are there water bottles next to the chairs?
Good question.
I'm curious why there are flags everywhere.
I'm curious why the gym stuff door has 2 different handles that look completely different.
I'm curious because why are there pictures on the wall? I'm curious because why are we up on the stage again?
Because you're curious. And one more.
I'm curious why there is a microphone on the chair.
Okay, good curiosity questions. Now I want you to think about something out in the world. Something out in the world. It's not here in this room. Anything else, anywhere in the world that you might be curious about. What might that be?
Can it be in the past? How did the dinosaurs become to extinction?
Great question.
I'm curious on how people care so much about global warming.
Wait, we can do it in the past, right? I'm curious how dinosaurs actually came to Earth.
I'm curious on how,
I'm curious about why when you try to transplant flowers, if the roots break, it dies. I tried to transplant flowers pretty much on Thursday. The next day, they died.
Oh, transplanted flowers die. Oh.
I'm curious about what Alaska looks like.
Hey, what great things. A couple more.
I'm curious about why the North Pole gets warmer almost every year.
You already went, right? We're going to do, and you already went. Okay. So all of our curious people that are up here today, what we've learned from you are a couple different things. We learned that we can be curious about things that are in the present or in the past. We learned from you today that we can be curious about what is in front of us that we see. We also learned that we can be curious about things that we don't see. That is the power of curiosity. Let's thank all of our curious people here. You can go back to your seats. Before you took a walk with me through an orchard, now I'll just have you go on a quick walk with me through Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. When you walk in the front doors of TJ High School, you're first going to walk in under a dome that replicates the Jefferson Memorial that's in Washington, D.C. It's a fabulous opening, and you walk into a large open area that's called the Nobel Commons, named after scientists Nobel. All of our large open areas are named after scientists in our school because of these scientists being so curious. After you walk in the front and you turn left and you walk down a long hallway, you can make another left, and you're going to see some labs. You'll see some labs on the left-hand side with all kinds of machinery. Those are our prototyping labs, where students who are curious about manufacturing products using machinery, they work in there. You'll also see something that we call a jump lab. That's where students in 10th grade go in because they're curious about doing research, but they don't know what kind of research they may want to do. So they go in there to do lots of different experiments. So when you leave the jump lab, you can go down the hallway a little more. We have a neuroscience lab where you can be curious about nerves and brain functions. Our chemistry lab is right next to that. Across the hall from that is an oceanography lab, if you like turtles and fish, and you want to study that environment. Then when you walk around the corner and you go upstairs and walk out in the hallway, there's a DNA genetics lab that's there. And across the hall from that, wonderful computer labs where students study artificial intelligence and machine learning. As you continue walking down that one hallway and you look to your right, we have robotics labs. So when you walk in there, you see robots running all around on the floor and students conducting them. If you were to leave that area and go back out, you're going to see English classrooms where students write poetry and enjoy literature. You keep walking down, you'll see our math classrooms where curious students are solving problems. TJ is filled with places for curious individuals. So I just want to share with you a couple of the questions that our students have that they've been curious about. How can I learn how to ballroom dance? How many of you are surprised that a TJ student would ask that question? Raise your hand. They ask that question, they form a club because they're interested in more than just a microscope or a computer or a lab. They're interested in the arts. And guess what? We have a wonderful ballroom dance club. And they dance all the time. They've taught me a few moves also. Some of my students say, what does it take to write a poem and recite it in front of others? How can I become a magician? They're curious about that. What would happen if I helped NASA with a satellite? Can a crawfish regenerate nerves? Is my drone able to inspect train tracks so that railways are safer? Can I program an app to detect if someone is having a stroke? Can hypothermia lessen the impact of traumatic brain injury? What is causing biofilm that discolors and is harmful to the national monuments in Washington, D.C.? Right now, if you drive through Washington, D.C., and if you see the Jefferson Memorial, you'll see a great big white patch on it. Do any of you know what I'm talking about? If you see that, the monuments are being cleaned right now, but our students are working on those monuments, and they're learning about the biofilm that has grown on them and how to prevent that from happening in order for the monuments to be preserved better. Another question that a student of ours had, I wonder if I can figure out a math problem that no one else in the world has ever solved. This year, one of our students, Adam Ardeshar, did that, and he came in 3rd place in the National Regeneron competition because he was able to solve something that no one else had been able to do. That's what curious people do. So maybe we'll take a page out of Albert Einstein's book, because we don't have to be particularly talented. He said, I have no particular talent. I'm merely inquisitive. Continue your love for curiosity and enjoy everything that you do in school, and always be a learner. Thank you for being here today, and enjoy the symposium.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you again for coming and sharing in this exciting day. It's such a cool atmosphere here to see all of the different groups and companies and schools and students. It's very exciting, and I love to see the STEM innovation just thriving in our area. Today I'm going to start by talking about the power of curiosity and how creating a variety of STEM opportunities shapes continued interest in STEM education. We have been working on Loudoun County's STEM Magnet High School for many years, and I'm happy to say that we finally opened in August of this year. And so here we are in our inaugural year. Our mission at the Academies of Loudoun is to empower students to explore, research, collaborate, and innovate, and to make meaningful connections to the world in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math. At the Academies of Loudoun, we are trailblazing a new approach to STEM education by broadening the traditional approach often evident in STEM magnet programs. Let's watch the short video clip here that highlights our commitments to expanding STEM education through the region and how we are working to best support students as they navigate toward the college or career goals that are right for them. Sorry if you can't see it, but hopefully you can.
Part of a decade, Loudoun County Public Schools has sought a state-of-the-art STEM facility to increase opportunities for STEM education for LCPS students. The Academies of Loudoun is a school community that merges the Academy of Engineering and Technology, the Academy of Science, and Monroe Advanced Technical Academy, and is the result of a vision of educators, business partners, and community leaders. Located on 119 scenic acres near Leesburg, Virginia, the Academies of Loudoun allows students to pursue their academic passions while attending their home high school on alternating days. At approximately 315,000 square feet, it is the largest high school building the school division has ever constructed. Beyond its size, every square foot of the building enhances students' learning through advanced technology and innovative features. The Academy's 4 guiding words, explore, research, collaborate, innovate, are written on the walls and into every facet of the curriculum. In opening the Academies of Loudoun, Loudoun County Public Schools has moved learning beyond the classroom, using innovative techniques and approaches not previously seen in traditional facilities.
The Academies of Loudoun Makerspace has just about anything that you possibly dream of. This is top-notch compared to even some things that I've seen at universities. Technology supports the curriculum. The tools in the makerspace help students create the things that they imagine.
The Academy of Engineering and Technology, or AET, is a 4-year program, although students have the option to opt out after their first 2-year commitment. The foundation of AET is to provide advanced academic STEM opportunities for students to engage in the study of engineering, entrepreneurship, and information technology. The AET program provides an immersion in STEM curriculum that challenges students to think critically, innovate, research, design, and invent to solve real-world contextual problems.
We use a lean business model canvas, and the students ideate a concept to solve a problem from the beginning to prototype pitching to final pitch. So it really is a reality-based process, and they're doing it. They're not just writing about it, they are doing it because they're out there getting the data.
My personal favorite thing about the Academy of Loudoun is the integration between our 3 subjects that we have. So, for example, last year I took physics, computer science, and math, and all 3 of my teachers worked together to integrate the 3 subjects and make projects based on the 3 subjects. And another thing is that being around passionate people here at the Academies of Loudoun makes you a more passionate person yourself.
The Academy of Science, or AOS, strives to provide students the opportunity to deeply engage in mathematics, science, and research, and to promote creativity and innovation through problem solving and collaboration. Students at the AOS will acquire skills to ask sophisticated scientific questions and conduct research and experimentation, to explore the interconnections between the sciences, math, and the humanities, to read, write, and communicate at a level that is required of university students, and to develop perspectives to assess the impact of scientific advancements on society.
The experience of inquiry-based learning, project-based learning, being able to do a lot of things hands-on, faculty that really care about you, that know you, it's kind of a dream come true for any student, I think.
I think the ultimate reward is being able to see connections in the world that you wouldn't have discovered otherwise. Being able to learn so much more in depth about biology, about chemistry, about math, about physics, and it's a different learning experience than you would get at home school.
Monroe Advanced Technical Academy, or MATA, builds on a 40-year Loudoun tradition of excellence in career and technical education. The MATA program strives to provide significant and relevant learning in career and technical education, CTE, which allows students to explore and innovate while preparing for 21st century college and careers. There are 25 college and career CTE pathways available.
MATA is totally more than just the skills that we learn. We learn how to be proper leaders in our industry. We learn how to work together as teams. It's a lot of professional development that you wouldn't get at a regular school. It's not just learning how to do graphic design. It's all about learning how to be a better leader, how to be a better person and citizen and student.
MATA is a Virginia Governor's Career and Technical STEM Academy and is also the home of the Claude Moore Health Scholars Program, designed to supply future employees for some of America's fastest growing medical fields.
For many of the students, the advantage is this is almost a pre-med program for them, so the hands-on experience here allows them then to shadow in the clinic. They have a better understanding of what technologists are actually performing, and it actually puts them more at ease with an adult, which is something they have not to this point worked with.
While the Academies of Loudoun provides unique curriculum to its students, it also subscribes to the theory that deeper authentic learning comes from intentional collisions. The Academy's architecture allows students to collaborate informally across programs to tackle projects with real-world impact. Common areas where students can meet and explore learning are spread throughout the building. The One Lunch model is informal, and students are encouraged to mix with their peers outside their areas of specialized study to explore areas of common interest. Clubs and activities are also offered at this time. The Academies of Loudoun incorporates the best in innovative curricular design, inquiry-based instruction, state-of-the-art technology, and a spirit of community. It is devoted to deep, impactful learning that will move its students to become productive contributors to the world.
So in the video, you saw a quick snapshot of the programs that we offer: the Academy of Engineering and Technology, the Academy of Science, and Monroe Advanced Technical Academy. These have all been designed slightly different in order to broaden the lens that we are approaching with STEM education. We want to create programs and opportunities that help students and support students as they find what's next for them, whether it's a top-tier university or an industry credential program that leads to some time in the job market. But in summary, we are committed to supporting the power of curiosity, by integrating our subject areas, by providing multiple opportunities to pursue their interests and pathways in STEM education, by embracing project-based learning and design challenges, by promoting inquiry-based educational approaches, and maintaining a strong foundation in research. Thank you all.
Oftentimes, families will think that there might be a defined path to follow in order to become a student at TJ. And I'm here to tell you that that is not true. As a matter of fact, we would prefer that parents and families not try to find private tutors at very early ages and enroll their students in all kinds of preparatory classes to try to get into TJ. The world is wide open, going back to that idea of curiosity. And so if as a family, if you're just providing activities where children are exploring their passions, if they find that they're interested in STEM areas, then they will go far, and there will be many places for them. And they will do fine on entrance opportunities to TJ or other types of academies that are there. So my best advice to you is to just continue to be curious, explore passions, try not to narrow a path for passing a test. Because once you get into TJ, it isn't about passing tests. It's about doing something with what you know and what you love.
I think that was the perfect answer. Don't you guys agree? Yep. I would have very similar things to say for our admission process. There is one slight difference. We do have 2 admissions windows. So TJ largely admits people for freshman year and then a couple of students going into sophomore year. At the Academies of Loudoun, we do have an application window for rising freshmen, and that's for the 4-year programs that we offer. And our students also are notified within the past week of those admissions offers. We have a second window when students can offer, and again, by deliberate design, because not all students know their passions or what they want to do when they're in 8th grade. I certainly didn't. And so we have a winter admissions window, and that's when students can apply to enter our school as a 10th, 11th, or 12th grader. Within AET, there is a opportunity that's a 2-year pathway for 11th and 12th grade. And then within MATA, all of the courses that we offer are either 1 or 2-year commitments. So with that, we have a fall window and an admissions window. But the most important thing is that students are following their passion and pursuing an interest.
Great. Thank you very much. First question from the audience.
Good morning. My question may sound a little awkward, but I would like to know if any of these 2 schools ever put in on stage that play called the Radium Girls. Radium Girls is the story of those workers 100 years ago who had to touch with their tongue the paint that would color the digits on watches. And they got the bone disease and the mouth cancer because at that time, when Marie Curie just got her Nobel Prize in physics, it was not known anything about the radium consequences. And doing this and projecting 100 years later when we have the GPS does to mind things that could, in perspective, not help, meaning the loss of orientation.
Do you have any courses, or do you help the students understand the implications of science and advances in science, the ethics of science?
That's a terrific question. One of the things that we know that we're having to incorporate more into our studies is ethics in science, because there are implications. And when we are doing research in genetics and in other fields, what may be ethical, what may influence humanity in general, in good ways and bad. And our students spend, I would say, quite a bit of time in integrated experiences. So often our science teachers collaborate with our humanities teachers, and they really have robust forums that get to the heart of ethical considerations in science. Very, very important field now.
Yes, I agree. Honesty and integrity in academics are equally as important as good grades on tests, and they are woven into the fabric of our school culture.
Fantastic. Here's another question.
Obviously, these two schools are terrific schools, and it's a privilege to attend. And I know there is a lot of similar focus in science and technology. I wonder if I can put you on the spot and talk about what makes one school different versus the other.
Well, I will answer that in a fact-based evidence response, since I've worked in both schools. That's what we were just laughing about. TJ is a comprehensive high school, so you go to one school and you get everything and you graduate from TJ. The Loudoun model, which was established by the school board even before I worked there, is an alternating day model. And so I do have students that feed from 17 different high schools in Loudoun County, and all schools in Loudoun County are on an AB day schedule, the same AB day schedule that never changes. So snow days, no matter what, it's the same. And so students are concurrently enrolled in two high schools, the Academies of Loudoun and their home high school, and that allows them to maintain their neighborhood network and also get the STEM magnet experience for advanced academics that we offer. And so that just is a different approach, but truly both are outstanding opportunities for students. And we also get a lot of parents that want to come back to high school as well. We partner with local businesses in Loudoun County, and we work with their senior leadership team to develop a challenge question. We call it our Innovation Challenge Experience. And so one example is we partnered with K-12, which is a local big company that has a presence on all continents. And so they are a biomedical technology company that specializes in surgical solutions to scoliosis. So we put our students in cross-functional teams, and we brought them all together because that mirrors what industry is like. You don't get to work with everybody that thinks the same way you do and that has the same content knowledge that you do. Oftentimes, there's a variety of diverse perspectives on the team. So we presented them the innovation challenge that the business had created, and they had to tackle creating an innovative process or product for 5 months. And then they presented their innovative solution to the leadership team of the business. We do that sort of innovation challenge with support from the industry mentors and the guest speakers every year with our 9th graders to really toss something out there. That, I mean, my 9th graders, when we did that, weren't specialists in scoliosis, but they dug in and they learned about a topic that they weren't familiar with, and they had to collaborate and communicate and present. And those are the kinds of skills that we are trying to foster. You don't always have to have the content knowledge or the right or wrong answer, but sometimes you have to be able to dig deep and learn about something you don't know.
That's such a great question that you asked. One of the things that happens at TJ is that many times before being innovative, you have to have some kind of foundational knowledge, a starting point. So all freshmen who come in participated in what we call our IBET program, Integrated Biology, English, and Technology. So all of those teachers interface together on teams, and we break our freshman class down into smaller learning communities, because as we know out in industry, it's how you work with people that's really important. You have to learn how to work with people and communicate. So they learn those foundational skills in their freshman year. Then students throughout their sophomore and junior years are able to diverge a little more, explore really just a plethora of offerings at our school until they get to their senior year, where they are able to design original research. And so they write their own innovative research proposals in their junior year, and then go into the labs in their senior year and pursue that. Sometimes the research is actually building on something that maybe senior students have been doing for 15 years at TJ, and they just continue to evolve, because we know that research can sometimes take decades and decades and decades, and our kids are learning that. So it's not that they're not being innovative, they're continuing to evolve. And then some of our research is brand new. And so that's an innovation if you define innovation as being new. And I would say that from a school setting, many of our conversations focus around coursework, curriculum, and when we keep our focus there, that can sometimes be limiting. Because all of a sudden we put in lots of different prerequisites and we say, well, you have to take this course, then this one, then this one, then this one. And it becomes a very defined and narrow path. I'm interested in how we can start with the end in mind and backward map and not worry so much about some of those prerequisites, because the more that students are able to flow a little more in their sophomore, junior years and explore things, I think that they will find other areas of interest, because sometimes students will worry so much. It's kind of like changing your major in college. You know, after a certain point, you really can't do that anymore because you've wasted all of your time and money. And sometimes that happens with us as well.
Great. So we're going to get on to our last question here so we can finish up on time. We have our next speaker already lined up.
Thank you for being here today, and great commentary. So you mentioned about the application process, and I know it's pretty standard in terms of having a test and then the windows. Are there any other deciding factors that you're looking for in terms of an applicant that help in terms of the decision process? For example, you're on the debate team, or that show the variety or well-roundedness of an individual. I know you can't go into detail, but maybe you could just give some characteristics that go into that application process.
Sure. For the TJ application process, not only is it about passing that exam, but there are teacher recommendations that students have to secure. So teachers will provide insight about the background of that child, and the students are able to provide a little more information on open essay questions when they make it to that second round. And that's really where we see what motivates a student when they're able to provide those free responses and what's really important to them. And sometimes when we talk about well-roundedness, it's really interesting. I recently was speaking to the vice chancellor of MIT, and we were having a conversation about this. And he said, sometimes when we talk about well-roundedness, unfortunately, people think that you have to do 12 different things to be well-rounded. And he said, there's being rounded. He said, but we want pointy people. And when I asked him what he meant by that, he said, we just want people who can focus on one or two things and do them really well. And that might be a good piece of advice to think about, because when we spread ourselves too thin, we're masters of nothing. And so sometimes that scramble to try to show how well-rounded you are might actually hurt you a little bit, because it may take away from the fact that if you're applying to a STEM-focused school or to an engineering program, that maybe that's not really where your interests are.
Yes, and I would say that the best place to go for the list of admissions criteria for the Academies of Loudoun is the admissions tab on our school website. We do have exams, we do use teacher recommendations, and we also have a written assessment where students can tell us about their interest and their passions. So for that and additional information, just check out our website.